listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Toronto is up 6-1 in the top of the seventh.
I hung around to the 13th inning last night, and I could no longer keep my eyes open.
I made it. It's way. I tapped out way before that. I tapped out in the 10th, and even then I just felt bad. I felt like I'm not. You know me. People listening know me. I'm not a baseball purist or a big baseball fan, but man, there's something about playoff baseball and especially the World Series that always kind of pulls me in. But yeah, even tied after the 10th, I just was like, well, I'm out. I'll find out in the morning. Because I was switching back and forth between that and the Chiefs game. I was really into it. And then, yeah, 18 innings.
Yeah, for a second, I thought you were going to bring up like a Raptors Spurs score. I was like, cool story, man.
No, Spurs were off tonight. Spurs are undefeated, though.
I bet they are.
They are.
Did you see the stories coming out about the strife between the Stars and the Mavericks?
Headlines only. It's something to do with
maintenance
facilities
and use of the building. Yeah, it's like fantastic, guys.
Yeah,
let's play nice.
Anyways, play really nice. The Las Vegas Mavericks.
Oh man, don't take it. Since they shipped Luka away, I've had a hard time with this organization.
Understandable.
On the docket tonight, though, we have a final brief recap of Oklahoma State, preview of Kansas State. I'm going to say preview. It's not going to be a preview, but there will be basketball next week. We are going to record a little early next week, so it will actually be ahead of the game. Not that there's much to preview for Lindenwood or Sam Houston State. But there'll be those two games to talk about, probably even Illinois, because they will come back. We'll play that game on Tuesday. Maybe an instant reaction BYU preview. No, BYU wrap-up game pod for that night. Anywho's, we got that going on. I was trying to project out when we record that, will that be after the BYU game? I think it is. So we'll be doing the final recap on the BYU game, football game, previewing or doing an instant reaction to the Illinois basketball game.
Correct. Yes.
Previewing UCF football. It's going to be a wild episode that night.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so we got basketball, 11th. Soccer. What do we learn? Crazies abound out there, Michael. That's all I'm going to preview. So we've got lots to talk about. Let's jump into Oklahoma State. I think I was able to put my finger on what I didn't like. And it's just like, well, no duh. But like, I think ultimately what I settled on after that game was just like the sense of dread and not dread. Dread's probably really strong. Discontent after that game was that Hammond went down. Your offense was all messed up. He hasn't really looked great since the Utah game. And then ultimately leaves this game with an injury. So like knowing or realizing, accepting that like this game versus Oklahoma State kind of felt like an early season FCS matchup where like you weren't going to learn a whole lot unless something really bad happened. So winning the game the way you did doesn't really tell you much. If it was close or if you lost, you would learn a whole lot more in a bad way. Not that I think you didn't win by enough. I just thought there was lots of opportunity for your offense to be crisper, more efficient, and it wasn't. ultimately, I think a lot of it has to do with like you were playing a third string quarterback against a team where like you just don't have a great feel for what they are, who they are. The vibes of a team like Oklahoma State totally throw off a game. So everything about this was just strange. I think wrapping all that up, that's kind of where I was like, I didn't like the game. So they ended up playing without their best running back. They rotated quarterbacks. You started off the game really strong, really hot. Special teams, defense was strong. It was you beat them soundly in 2.5 of the 3 sides of the ball, and the other half I'm giving some grace to because you were playing a third string quarterback after a season-ending injury to your backup quarterback. So Hammond goes down, tears his ACL, sucks. I hate that. Razor thin margin of whatever you want to call it for Morton moving ahead. We know he's dealing with his own injuries, his own recovery. Supposedly he's good to go and feeling great. I really hope that's true. Super thin margin now. Mitch Griffiths is good. He's not going to carry you to a conference championship title appearance type of good. I think what this does, and not the sadist in me, but like what I saw Texas Tech do in the portal, I'm excited to see what they do going after a quarterback this offseason. Because you went after some top end guys on positions of need. What you can do with Morton's eligibility, supposedly there could be some strings pulled, like he may be able to come back. Obviously, I'm going to operate under like he's gone. Hammond wouldn't be coming back till September-ish. But even there, like Lloyd Jones, like this is what Level was saying this week. Lloyd Jones is recovering from an ACL, and he's just now kind of gearing back up into activity. It's been like 14 or 15 months for him. So Hammond could realistically be out all of next season. I would expect probably a redshirt season for him next year, even if he does get in for a few games. So you need a starting quarterback. And I can't wait to see what this team staff does to go after one this offseason. Lots to choose from, and with all the openings around the country, there are a bunch that are open right now. That will snowball once they start filling their positions, and then teams will have to backfill. Do those coaches take their offensive staffs and quarterbacks with them? Are they going to open up guys that want to stay around, or they transfer to other opportunities? Who would have thought that like Lane Kiffin would be the number one guy in like 5 different schools boards right now, but like can literally pick whichever school he wants to go to. He's like a prized recruit, can name his price and get it, like whether it's from Florida or LSU or Ole Miss, Penn State. If he felt like he wanted to go up into the Big Ten, like could go anywhere. It's going to be a wild.
Money's not a factor with Lane, though. He made that clear. That's obviously not how he rolls. That's not a priority for him.
Money is going to be a big factor in all of it, and it's just
I don't know. He's just in it for the love of the game, Spencer.
I'm sure. Anyway, so like there's going to be lots of opportunities for you to pluck somebody that maybe you weren't even thinking was going to be available or open to hit in the portal. Like I said, the sicko in me just can't wait for that to happen this after the season. Obviously, there's lots of stuff to get done for Texas Tech to accomplish this year.
But yeah, I mean that's a great point with the carousel being as wild as it is. There's going to be a lot of top talented quarterbacks that may be looking for a new home. Lubbock, Texas is a wonderful place to live. It's a cool breezy 58 degrees here tonight. We're going to get our first freeze before the end of October possibly. So we're looking good here. So anybody from Baton Rouge or Penn State or anywhere that you're kind of left with a bad taste in your mouth, well, how about some sand? Sand will taste better than having your head coach fired after having 3 losses.
Yeah. So like it's going to be just this massive domino effect. Like, okay, so Power 4 job openings now. I'm probably going to miss some: Penn State, Oklahoma State, Florida, LSU, Virginia Tech, UCLA, Oregon State, if you want to consider them Power 4. And those are the ones that are open today. When these guys start hiring, whether it's a sitting head coach somewhere else, if it's Lane Kiffin, other jobs that may open up because of they fire somebody, whether it's Oklahoma or Auburn or Florida State or guys that are on the edge of getting fired, and then all the backfilling. This is going to be a wild offseason in coaching searches. I mean, I don't want to throw this out there and like manifest it, but guys I haven't heard of, I'm glad I haven't heard of it yet, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I haven't heard some specific names. I think I want to keep their names right where they're at. The only other thing I want to talk about from the Oklahoma State game is just how stupidly impressed I am each week. I shouldn't be. Like, it shouldn't be impressive at all at this point, but Jacob Rodriguez is just that guy. 10 more tackles, 1 tackle for loss, forced fumble recovery, touchdown, all in the same play, wrapped up all in one. I had a chance to dote on Mr. Rodriguez on a podcast appearance I did for our Kansas State brethren on the College Huddle Network show up there. They asked me specifically about it. I was like, I can't say enough good things about him. It's like, prepare yourself for the broadcast. They're gonna talk a lot about he and his wife. His wife is just, salt of the earth, helicopter pilot. It's a fantastic family. I got to meet the dude himself. Great football player, better person. And I was like, you're going to see it coming, and it's going to be like one of those, oh no, here we go. But like him coming after your ball player with a fist cocked back because he's going to punch the ball out. You're going to see it coming. And you're like, oh no, prepare yourself. Although the fumble recovery, the fumble he forced against Oklahoma State was not his typical, where he just stole it from the running back. But anything else you want to touch on from Oklahoma State before we just kind of package that one up? And
just lightly, back to, I think what left a bad taste in my mouth too was, unfortunately for Hammond, he started out really hot. I think he was 9 for 11, at least, completion percentage. It's not like the offense was really moving the ball, but he was able to get it to receivers. But I think his last 4 passes were incompletions. And then, of course, he went down with that injury. So I think that just kind of threw everybody off in the stadium. And then all of a sudden, Griffiths is taking snaps after a timeout on a 4th down. And everyone's just kind of scrambling for what in the world is going on. But just hate to see how his season ended here at Texas Tech for this year. And, I hope he sticks with us. I hope he sticks around. I'm with you. I think next year, even if he can play, it's going to be a redshirt season at best. And I am really not sure how they're going to wrangle a redshirt season out of Morton when he's still got 7 games to play? 8? How many has he got left this year? Got quite a few. So let's not get on this medical redshirt train thing yet. I think he's just getting warmed up.
Yeah,
that's what I'm telling myself.
To your point about Will Hammond, he started 2 for 2, missed 1 to Douglas, 3 for 4, hit 1 to Dickey. Douglas dropped 1 3 for 5. Then he rattled off 6 straight to go 9 for 11, where he hit Aiken 4 times in a row, then targeted Aiken 2 more times. So there was 6 straight targets for Cowboy there. It was 4 of 6 in that stretch, and then had 2 more. So it finished the day, like you were pointing out, 9 of 15, was at 1.9 of 11. So yeah, he's having an efficient start to the game, at least.
He was, and I don't have a whole lot more to say about Oklahoma State that we didn't cover on the instant, and I am ready to pack it up, enjoy the win, enjoy the cover, enjoy all the things about it.
Yeah. So Texas Tech moves on to 7-1 this season, hitting the road to Kansas State. Before we get there, let's wrap up the rest of the Big 12 really quickly from this past weekend. Kansas State at Kansas, 11 a.m. kickoff on TNT. Kansas State ran away with this one 42-17. The guys I spoke to tonight were very optimistic about the direction of their defensive front and how it was trending. They're like, well, we got 4 sacks against Kansas. And it's like, well, we had 9. I didn't say that, but they were like, they were trying to pull a lot of optimism and momentum from that. I was like, you probably can, but that Kansas front is one to be had. They did not have the same level of rushing success against the Jayhawks as Texas Tech did. But they had their way with the Jayhawks, 42-17. A little momentum on the Wildcats side, got them excited about this one. Better than where we thought they would be through 8 games. You know, they're at 4-4. We thought they would be a little bit better than where they're at. We'll talk a little more about their season and how this game it may project out, but they had a big one, potentially a letdown spot after taking down their in-state rival. We'll see. BYU at Iowa State. Iowa State was a 2.5-point favorite. BYU ran away with this one 41-27. Man, they're looking a little freight trainy right now.
Well, but they were down. They were down late. I think there was some like a pick six or something that came along at the end that got BYU over the hump. But yeah, they are playing good football and they're winning. I mean, what else can you say about them?
Yeah, I mean, we'll obviously talk about their preview next week, but like, there's something about like
they're off this week, so good for them.
Potentially losing LJ Martin could be big for them. Their freshman quarterback has yet to play like a freshman.
Yeah,
maybe he's got a coming down to earth moment. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just really good. He's got a great head of hair. Anyways, Baylor at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is really making things interesting for the Big 12 this year. They were 5.5-point favorites, won by 3 touchdowns, 41-20. Very interesting game. Team that they're putting together this season. TCU is a big favorite over West Virginia on the road. Ended up winning just by 6. 23-17. Houston at Arizona State. Arizona State played for stretches of this game without Sam Leavitt, without Jordan Tyson. At one point, early in the fourth quarter, Houston was up 24-0. Houston did score 2 touchdowns and a field goal, missed an extra point or a 2-point conversion, whatever it was, to get to 16. I think the biggest storyline, Michael, is that we always knew it was always about Texas Tech. Always. Everything. Arizona State raining bottles down from the fans onto the field. No flags. No reprimands from the conference. No fines. So, yes, they were fined for the field rushing, but this is a second week where actual dangerous situations are happening on the Arizona State field. And yet it's the presence of a tortilla that could garner a $100,000 penalty for Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
That's no, it doesn't. And I was trying to find didn't Tech get fined when they threw bottles during, was it Oklahoma State?
I believe they did get fined. I don't remember it, but I remember it happening. I don't remember the fine or outcome of that.
Yeah, I was trying to find that too, but yeah, as much as I don't really miss or care that much about the tortilla thing, as far as the ban, it is annoying. It is annoying that apparently Texas Tech is held to a different standard than everybody else. I think maybe after this season they get the house in order and they truly enforce these things, as opposed to just making an example out of Texas Tech and making sure we stop throwing tortillas on the field and other possible things. Another thing that got pointed out, and it may have been by anyway, I saw it on Twitter, and it was just hey, this is proof that when people throw stuff on the field, there's almost always video evidence of it. So just keep that in your hip pocket. Anytime you accuse Texas Tech of throwing something on the field again, usually someone has a video of it. And in this case, there were many, many videos of stuff getting thrown. And I think it happened in Manhattan not that long ago, too.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of a video of something being thrown in the field, very quietly, but did you hear about the Kansas staff member that dropped or planted that knife?
I read probably the same thing, or maybe you heard about it on the broadcast. So I was at the game and didn't hear the TNT broadcast of Kansas State game, but supposedly that staffer was fired, and it was reported just in passing during the TNT broadcast, but then I didn't actually look it up elsewhere or see anything beyond that.
Yeah, that's about all I heard too, was that he was fired, and that Leibold, when asked about it, said he got caught. So given the opportunity to make a comment about it, and maybe backtrack some of his comments, said that the guy got caught. Well, yeah. You got caught. Bro.
That was a good point. That was a good way for you to, and I owe the fine folks of Lubbock, Texas, an apology. This is something that we discovered in our program that we will not allow, we will not tolerate, and yeah, I mean, he could have said something for 15 seconds and moved on, but no.
5 seconds, yeah.
Yep.
Final one, Colorado at Utah. Good gravy. Utah was up like 42-0 at half. Ended up beating them 53-7. This is worse than I thought Colorado would be under Dion. I didn't think they would be like as good as they were last year. And they had a great roster. And it seemed like they had all of the things clicking, going the right direction. This is closer to what I thought they were going to be, but not that bad. Man, they look lost. Yes, Utah's good. Yes, they're off, but like, dang, dude. I think there was a point in the game, was it halftime or maybe even like beginning of the second quarter, Colorado was still negative total yardage. And we're like halfway or more into the game. Anyways, Utah, they have some work to do, but they look good. And then Arizona and UCF were off this past weekend. UCLA at Indiana. Indiana was a 24.5 point favorite, won by 50.
50 burgered.
Missouri at Vandy. Vandy's for real, apparently. Vandy ends up winning this one 17-10. Mizzou ends up losing their starting quarterback, Prabula. I can't stand his name. It's so weird. It's just like hearing it, saying it, it's difficult for me. Prabula. Anyways, goes down for the year, unfortunately for him and the Tigers. Ole Miss hangs on to take down Oklahoma 34-26. UCF. What was the final there? I don't even see the score.
Oh, I forgot to give you the score.
34-31. There.
USF.
USF takes down Memphis. No.
Memphis came back. Yes. Memphis came back. Yeah, Memphis was 6-0 or 6 and yeah, they were 6-0 coming into this game until the week before when they lost to, I think, winless
and coachless
UAB, and they lost 31-24. But Memphis got the win after Southern Florida blew a 31-17 fourth quarter lead. So USF scored right at the end of the third quarter, was up 31-17, and then lost the ball game after that. So Memphis, because of that win, that ranked win, has now popped into the AP top 25. They're sitting at 25 right now at 7-1. USF is out of the AP poll, and so Memphis is once again within the G5 CFP hopefuls. Maybe the only one right now, at least according to AP poll, but we'll see how things continue to shake out with particularly Navy, I'd imagine.
Well, you brought the poll. Let's jump into that real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Big 12 updates. BYU slides up one spot. I think the top 10 was fairly quiet this week, but moved up just one spot, 11-10. Texas Tech also moved up one spot, 14-13. If you've got beef, here's a great spot to point out. Notre Dame's schedule and resume is garbage, but they're still ahead of you. And may remain there. They have nobody. Their best win is a close loss. And yet you've got 2 ranked wins on your resume. Cincinnati does jump up a couple spots, 21-17. Houston moves into the rankings from unranked to 22nd. And now they're 7-1. Don't look now, but their last 4 games look very winnable for them. And not because of their 7-1, but because of like how everything else is shaken out. Like they've got a great shot to go 11-1. Surprisingly, at least to me, I know Willie Fritz is good, and we were expecting him to get them going.
Yeah,
again,
not year 2.
not going 11-2.
Yeah.
And maybe they are
year 3 or 4, man. At least you tap the brakes a little.
Yeah. Arizona State drops out after being 24th, but losing to Houston. You like to point out the 5-2 teams that the voters love, including Notre Dame. USC moved into the rankings from unranked, despite not playing.
Good for them.
It's a bold
5-2
move.
USC. Good job.
Jumped back into the rankings, like I said, on a bye week. You had other teams that played really well that could have snuck in there at the end, like an Iowa.
Nah.
But no. They Notre Dame's remaining schedule at Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, at Stanford. So their best possible chance to build a resume is going to be Navy, who I think is also 7-1 right now.
They're 7-0. I've got them in the notable game category for later on in the pod.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, because they have North Texas, right?
That's right.
Okay, we'll get there. Coaches poll: BYU holding steady at 10. Texas Tech ticked up to 13th, so 13 in both polls. Cincinnati up to 16. Houston 22nd. Utah 24. Arizona State dropped out. And TCU and Arizona State are, though, receiving votes. TCU after a close win at West Virginia.
It's a big road win. It's a road win.
They're difficult to come by.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Ask
me how I know.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah, let's do that. Wildcats on the schedule next for the Red Raiders. They got a big jump in the S&P Plus after this past weekend. I don't remember seeing a 17-spot jump after 1 week, but they went from 53 to 36. Texas Tech holding firm at 4. It's a 2:30 kick on Fox. It will be a very similar today, what Lubbock had, probably without as much wind, but a cool 54-degree high day there in Little Apple. Don't need to remind everybody, but here we go. Texas Tech's last victory versus Kansas State was 10 years ago, 2015. It was a Mahomes-led team, 59-44. This was a game that DeAndre Washington ran all over that defense. And then the last time you won in Manhattan was 2008. And you beat them by 30, 58-28. You did beat them again in 2009, under the on-field direction of a Stephen Sheffield. I was stuck on Sticks. I was like, that's not his name. I know that's not his name.
We didn't win in 2009, did we?
We beat them like a drum, like 66-14.
Oh, okay.
And Lubbock. It was like a weird weather night. It was like hazy and misty. And I think there was also like fans were encouraged to wear pink.
You
It was
know,
a very strange.
I think Daggy came in.
Daggy played for a little bit too, yeah.
I think Daggy played in that game. Yeah, that makes sense.
But
I think we had
anyways.
3 quarterbacks play that game.
Yeah. Last season they were 9-4. Wins over UT Martin, Tulane, Arizona, Oklahoma State, Colorado, Kansas, Cincinnati, and Rutgers, with losses at BYU, at Houston, Arizona State, and at Iowa State. So last year they struggled on the road. 3 of their 4 losses were on the road. This year, 4-4. Notably that loss in week 0 in Dublin versus Iowa State. Then they came back at a 3-point margin of victory versus North Dakota, then lost to Army after week 3. We're like, man, this Kansas State team is not the same. Did end up losing to Arizona on the road. Bounced back versus UCF. Lost at Baylor, which we'll talk about a little bit more in depth here in a little bit. Baylor was their best offense that they faced. They gave up 35 to Baylor. Baylor's not even close to Texas Tech offensively. And then a couple of comfortable margins here. 41-28 versus TCU, and then 42-17 at Kansas.
If we're talking margins, I think if I did my math right, their average margin in their losses is 4 points.
So they lose close games.
Yes. So you already mentioned the scores here, but yeah, lost by 3 to Iowa State, by 3 to Army, by 6 to Arizona, and by 1 to Baylor. So I think that's 16 divided by 4 is, yeah, that's tough. One possession games, all their losses.
But when they win, they won by 3, then won by 14, then won by 13, and then won by 25.
Yeah, pretty good little 4-game stretch they're on right now, at least as far as scoring is concerned.
3 of their last 4 scoring at least 34 points. I think one of the biggest things that we always talk about, one, is penalties, but especially under the microscope here with Kansas State. Texas Tech, 58 total penalties on the year. You had 1 last week. I moved you up 10 spots, whatever it was in the country. You're tied for 112th at 7.25 per game. Kansas State has committed less than half of what you've done in the season. 26 total penalties, good for 3rd in all of college football. Only 3 per game. Offensively, they are the 40th S&P Plus offense, going up against the number 8 Texas Tech defense. They moved up 13-8 after Oklahoma State, but take that how you will. Led offensive coordinator-wise by none other than Matt Wells, QB coach, associate head coach. On the field, Avery Johnson is the guy and the only guy that plays quarterback for the Wildcats, completing 63% of his passes, just under 1,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. I found this interesting, Michael. They've only had 1 other player attempt a pass, and it was a tight end, and that ball was intercepted. So Matt Wells drew up this one play. It backfired, and they've never gone back. Literally nobody else has thrown a pass for the Wildcats this year except for Avery Johnson, whereas Texas Tech has now had 3. No, 4. We played 4 quarterbacks. On the ground, Dylan Edwards was their bell cow running back, went down with an injury week 1, has been ruled out for this game. He was averaging 6 yards a carry. They're now looking at Joe Jackson, who's got a ton of carries, 95 carries, but 382 yards. So it's only 3 yards per carry and 1 touchdown. Avery Johnson would be next up. 66 carries, 255 net yards, just under 4 yards per carry, but 5 touchdowns. So watch out in the red zone to get him moving. Through the air, they've got a deep threat in Jace Brown, 36 catches for 577 yards, 16 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns. This is like your stereotypical Matt Wells outside receivers, a big, tall, lanky kid, and they like to hit him deep. I did not update those correctly, but Jerron Tibbs would be next up in terms of catches, 32 catches, but only 400 yards. Just under 13 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns. Of course, they utilize a tight end heavily in their passing game. 25 catches, 271 yards for Garrett Oakley, 4 more touchdowns. And just because we love to hear about former Red Raiders, JB, as they call him, Jerron Bradley, 12 catches, 178 yards, 14.8 yards per catch, and 2 touchdowns. Where I think, Michael, some keys to the game are when Kansas State has the ball. We'll get to the whole wrap up and predictions here in a second. They are not very good on third down, converting only 38% of their attempts. That's 87th in the country. We all know that Texas Tech defensive efficiency on third down is so good. 13th at 30%. However, if Kansas State gets into the red zone, they are scoring. They are 23 of 25 on this season, 92% converting red zone opportunities into points.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. They've only allowed 6 sacks. It's a testament to not only their offensive line, but to what is his name? Avery Johnson. Good gravy. I know this guy. And they also take care of the ball extremely well. They are +9 in turnover margin. They've thrown only 3 interceptions all season. They've lost 5 fumbles, but defensively they've forced 9 fumbles, or they've recovered 9 fumbles and forced opponents into 8 interceptions. So Kansas State has the ball going up against the number 4 scoring defense with Texas Tech, giving up just 12.5 points per game, 99 total points all season. As a unit, Texas Tech has recorded 26 sacks. That's good for 8th in all of college football, 48 quarterback hits, 55 tackles for loss, 8 interceptions, 8 or 9 forced fumbles, 15 fumble recoveries. And I found this interesting. Only allowed 2 explosive runs all season, which is good, or only your explosive runs being 20 or more yards. So very good run defense, which we know about up front with the defensive line. And then, of course, your linebackers being as good as they are. You're still a top 2 stop rate defense. You match this up with the Kansas State offense. They have not faced a top 30 S&P Plus team or a top 30 defense. So take their offensive stats with a grain of salt. They have not had a good showing, or they've not had a defense better than 30. And you're 8. Kansas State per game averages through the air about 225 yards and 7.5 yards per attempt. So not explosive on the season. They are scoring more points the past few weeks than they have previously, averaging 140 yards on the ground at 4.4 yards per carry, 38% of third downs, but if you add in their fourth downs, almost 41%, and scoring 31 points per game. Defensively, Texas Tech is allowing fewer than 200 passing yards per game, 197 at 5.3 yards per attempt. Still a fantastic rush defense, 68 yards per game at 2.2 yards per carry, and only allowing teams to convert just under 31% on third and fourth downs, 12.5 points. So when Kansas State has the ball, they are decent through the air, 7.5 yards per attempt, 4.5 yards on the ground per carry, but have not played any good defense. They've definitely not faced a defensive front like Texas Tech. They've only given up 6 sacks, but they just haven't had a test like they're going to see this weekend. Now, when Texas Tech has the ball, we know that we're going to get Baron Morton back. What that looks like and how his transition back into starting role and his comfort and commanding the offense and getting out there and leading everything. Hopefully that goes quickly and smoothly. We'd love to see Terrence Carter back, especially in this game. Against this defense, they've tallied 18 sacks on the season, 2.25 per game. They're led by defensive end Toby Osunsanmi, who has 4. Kansas State did record 4 of their 18 of the season this past week versus Kansas. So they're not like a huge, it's not a huge part of their defense. In fact, their defensive line is not great. It's getting better, I guess. But if you believe anything about the PFF grading system, their defensive line is 109th ranked pass rush grade. That's no bueno if you are a Wildcat fan. They are 106th in the country in rush yards allowed before contact. And of the 8 defensive line who have logged at least 175 snaps, that feels very specific, but I'm going with what they were sharing. Of the 8 defensive linemen who have logged 175 snaps, not one of them has earned a 70 PFF grade or higher this season. So decent, not good. But they've got 2 great linebackers behind that defensive line, in Austin Romaine and Desmond Purnell. Again, going back to unit, they've got 46 tackles for loss, almost 6 per game, 8 interceptions. We talked about the 9 forced fumbles and 5 recovered. Led in tackles by that pair of linebackers, Romaine and Purnell. But again, they've not faced an offense like Texas Tech, the number 4 scoring offense in the country, just under 44 points. Their highest rated offense that they've gone up against was Baylor at 22, and they gave up 35 points in that game. Almost 350 passing yards at almost 9 yards per attempt, 123 rushing yards, and 4 yards per carry for Baylor on the day. Baron Morton is going to be all about, like I said, his transition back into the starting role. And then can this run game get going against I wouldn't say struggling defensive front, but a defensive front that is gettable, right? We talked about not logging a great PFF grade. They allow a ton of yards before contact. You saw Cam Dickey do a lot of damage against that kind of defense. When the run game wasn't working, it was because Arizona State was meeting your guy at the line of scrimmage and not letting him go. So offensively, Texas Tech is averaging 300 yards per game through the air, 8.5 yards per attempt, 200 yards on the ground, at 5.2 yards per carry, converting 50% of 3rd and 4th down attempts and scoring 43 points per game. Defensively, the Wildcats are allowing 220 yards through the air at 6.7 yards per attempt. So they're keeping a lot of things in front of them. 149 rushing yards, just under 4 yards per carry. Teams are converting almost 40% of 3rd and 4th down attempts, but they are giving up almost 26 points per game. So they score 31, then give up 26. Texas Tech is scoring 43, giving up 12. I do think those margins will obviously contract a little bit here. One, Texas Tech has not given up. You give up 20 points once all season. That may change. You may give up a second team gets 20 points, but if Kansas State gets to 20 points, I think it's just barely. I think 20, 21, 23 type of range for them. CFB Graph's matchup has this as a cover for Texas Tech. It's a 28-20, 28-21 type of game. It is 7.5 points. So if they do get to 21, I mean, that would be a Kansas State cover. Over under 53.5. I think that makes no sense to me. I think this would be lower scoring than that. Obviously, if this came out to be, that would be 48. That's a very comfortable under there. I do think it will be close. I do think if Texas Tech can not take control, if they can take care of the ball, not give Kansas State the opportunities that they've been good at creating, they're +9 in turnover margin. Limit Morton's trying to make everything happen. not trying to do too much. Lean on your strong rushing defense, your strong rushing offense. I think both of that's going to be a pretty big deciding factor. And then if you can continue to improve on limiting penalties, especially against a team like Kansas State, I think you can take care of this game, win a close game on the road, and then turn your attention to BYU next week. So I think I've got Texas Tech winning this one like 27-20. I can see it being lower scoring and closer than this, like a 24-20, 23-21 type of game. But I do think, like I said, if Texas Tech has things going their way and not like you need a big game or some kind of upset to do it, I think you should win this one by about a touchdown.
I'm a little bit more optimistic, but let me walk through why. So I'm coming up with my score based off of our just points allowed or points scored. So, Texas Tech offense, you've gone over these numbers, but we score basically 43 points a game. Kansas State allows 25. If you kind of split that difference, that's 35. And then if you do the same thing on the other side, Kansas State offense scores 31, Texas Tech defense has allowed 12. You split that difference, you get 21. So I'm leaning more on the 35, 20, 21 range. And that could be, I'm hoping it's something like a pick six. I'm hoping it's, I think one of those touchdowns, I don't know if our offense will score 35. I mean, I think defense or special teams or maybe special teams will do like they did in Lubbock against Oklahoma State, special teams will get a blocked punt or, something like that leads to a quote unquote quick and easy touchdown for the offense. So that basically is credited to special teams. I think that's going to be kind of the wild card for me that will make it seem a little bit, not as close as it probably was. The other thing I wanted to point out too is that Johnson has played really well in the last 4 games. They did lose that game at Baylor, but he was asked to throw 45 times. And that was his only interception, in those last 4 games. So I kind of think, one, something you've already mentioned, he has not pass rush like Texas Tech's. And if Texas Tech does kind of what they did with Daniels and tries to contain him and maybe just give him short throws, then and live with 5 yards per catch or 4 yards or something like that, that can happen. I do think he's a little more talented, or he can be more talented than Daniels. I don't know. They do share a lot of similarities there, but at least with his feet, I think he might be a little bit more talented. But I'm just looking at these numbers, thinking of these last 4 games where Kansas State's really kind of picked it up and started to really play some good football. He has not been pressured. He's been sacked 3 times in those last 4 games. He dropped back, I don't know, 100. He dropped back 100 times in those 4 games and has not seen any pressure, has not seen a pass rush like Texas Tech's, and he has not seen a Jacob Rodriguez like Texas Tech's. So I think we're going to see what he's able to do against this pass rush if they're able to exploit it with some short gains and some athletic slot receivers or something that's able to get beyond 10 yards and here and there and get beyond our linebackers or something. But I'm not sure he's going to experience anything quite like what he's going to experience on Saturday. And that's kind of what brings me around to thinking that Tech's going to ultimately win and cover. Like I said, 35-21 is what I'm looking at. Texas Tech's going to break the streak. We mentioned the years they did it, but we didn't mention that it's 8 straight losses to the Wildcats. We did not mention that Texas Tech has lost 12 of the last 13. We also have not mentioned that there ain't no curses.
Ain't no curses.
So, nope. Saturday is as good a time as any to walk into Manhattan, win a football game, come home.
We got a question here that I think it's good to drop this in right here. from YouTube. What team are they most like that we've played? Is there a team similar so far? Sounds a lot like ASU minus a future NFL wide receiver. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I do think. I do think there's some good comparison there between Kansas State and Arizona State. If you were to take away Levitt, sorry, not Levitt. If you were to take away Tyson, I also think.
I think Kansas would be one comparison, at least offensively.
Potentially, I went more towards Houston than Kansas.
Yep, I could see that.
And I use the CFB graphs matchup to kind of test that out. Versus Arizona State, it's like a 1-point margin between Kansas State and Arizona State, and I think a 2 or 3 point margin between Kansas State and Houston. But they don't have, like, Levitt and Johnson are not the same. I think. Well, I Johnson takes care of the ball, does run, but I was more concerned about Levitt's legs than I am Johnson. But I do think that Avery Johnson's a good running quarterback. He does not have a target like Tyson. They've got Jace. Is it Brown? I just said his name. Yeah, Jace Brown. 36 catches, 16 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns. It's just not. It's just not getting the same that you got from Arizona State and Tyson. So I would make that comparison, probably Arizona State minus Tyson, or Houston if you gave a little bit more juice to Wegman's legs. Defensively, I don't know where I can make a better a good comparison there, but yeah. Anything else you want to touch on this preview, Michael?
I don't think so.
Okay. I did share with our Kansas State brethren, like, at least for me, they are a fan base that I tolerate the most, especially considering our history. Like, they could be giant douchebags for Texas Tech, and they just aren't. We've actually had them, we spent time with them when they've come down for games. I've been to Cap Rock with a bunch of them. I've been on their podcasts the most of anybody else. I like them when Texas Tech's not playing them. There's a very respectable run program. I don't like Kleiman, but it's not like he's not a punchable guy like most other Big 12 coaches are. I don't know. I want them to lose this weekend. I would love to see them lose by more than 2 scores or more. And really get Texas Tech kind of back in comfortably going the right direction. So let's look around the rest of the Big 12 this weekend. Halloween weekend. I guess Halloween will be Friday, but we'll be playing on Saturday. West Virginia at Houston. We talked about the Houston schedule looking forward. What a time for West Virginia to reach up and punch somebody in the mouth and take down Houston. I'd hate to see it, but Houston's a 2-touchdown favorite, 11 a.m. FS1. Give me Houston here.
Yeah, give me the Cougs.
Even to cover.
I think they're going to cover.
This next one's interesting. UCF at Baylor. Baylor, a home 4.5-point favorite. That's a narrow line.
I would take the Golden Knights here because that is going to be a dead empty McLean Stadium.
Toilet bowl?
Yeah, it'll be just silent. UCF plus 4.5.
I like where your head's at. It may be close, but I think Baylor still wins this one by a touchdown. And UCF is just so, their roster is just so weird at this point.
If they lose this, how soon until there's an opening in Waco?
Probably imminent. Did you see that picture of Aranda and the athletic director?
No.
One, this athletic director wears some goofy stuff, dude. Like, there's a picture that was shared. Like, I don't know where it was with the setting. I had to be convinced that was the actual athletic director, but it was like he was like man hug, but like the athletic director had his hand on the back of Aranda's neck, and then Aranda had like his head down into his chest, it was strange, man. Yeah, not good vibes down there in Waco for Aranda's future. And again, there's another piece of the carousel season that's probably coming. Great coach, good defensive coach. I would love to have him.
Yeah.
Sorry. If we were to lose a defensive coordinator, I think you could do worse than having an Aranda on your sideline as a DC.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and just I know he's kind of an acquired taste, kind of a strange guy. At least his mannerisms and the way he speaks in public, but
so weird.
But he seems like a really decent human.
Sure.
So I mean, yeah, former Red Raider. Let's throw that in the mix too, or at least Red Raider coach. I think, yeah, if there was ever a chance to have him on the sideline at Texas Tech in some form of, assistant capacity, that would be pretty darn amazing.
Even like if you could get him like as strange as it might be, like as not that, yeah, not that like Wood needs advisors.
No,
but if you could stockpile head coaches or former defensive coordinators on like a weird spot on your staff because they're coming off of a bad season where they got fired, and they just kind of need a reset. You saw Saban do this all the time. Like Bill O'Brien wasn't this some kind of analyst on his staff.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like shoot, yeah, man, come help Shield Wood scheme some stuff up.
Let Mike Gundy come, coach some quarterbacks a little bit, learn how to run an actual program that embraces NIL, and then force him to sign some legally binding agreement that he can never coach in the same conference as Texas Tech ever again.
You know, be wild.
If a guy like that gets NIL figured out, look out.
I don't think he wants to figure it out.
Absolutely has no interest. I know, but he may be thinking otherwise right now. In his Bass Pro Shop home up in Stillwater, he may be thinking, I sure would rather be coaching football than sitting around and looking at all the taxidermy.
It doesn't sound too bad. my white trash is coming out right there. I mean, you could do worse than a mansion in the middle of Oklahoma. Could you imagine like the collection of personalities if like you stockpiled former head coaches as like coordinators? You had like a Mike Gundy offensive coordinator and a Dave Aranda defensive coordinator operating under a Joey McGuire. Like you have a 3-headed monster.
Yeah.
Like,
and this is because someone hired away Wood and left Witch.
Yeah. That I'm not saying you're going to fire either
coaches.
One of those guys.
Yeah, no, of course not. They're head coaches at Memphis or USF next couple years or something like that. Yeah, I don't. I get
Mac Leftwich, head coach at UAB.
There you go.
I'm not willing it. I'm not willing that into existence. But
gosh, no.
All right.
I forgot to get the line for this next game, so I'm trying to look it up real quick.
No, we were still on Arizona State at Iowa State.
Oh, okay, my bad.
We hadn't gotten to
so
Kansas
I've got
State.
a minute.
Arizona State at Iowa State. Iowa State's a nearly touchdown favorite here. I think that's because of the Leavitt-Tyson issues. Without them, yeah, give me Iowa State minus a touchdown. If either one of them plays, it probably gets a little closer to that. But I want Arizona State to win more. But I also like the more they lose, the more I can just point to like y'all got geared up for one game. And yeah, we should have won that game. But
I think they're still mad about last year.
Well, deal with it.
So yeah, deal with it. We're even Stevens, whatever.
Next, Oklahoma State at Kansas. Kansas is a 24.5-point favorite.
Give me the
Does
Jayhawks.
Kansas have that? Surely they have the horses to score and win by 25 points, right?
Yeah.
Their
It might be
Oklahoma
35
State's
to
so
7.
weird. Give me Oklahoma State to cover this one. I don't know.
Nope.
There's such a weird vibe about everything around Oklahoma State right now. No offensive identity. I failed to mention last week, Kevin Johns is calling plays for them now. Offensive coordinator under
Oh, yeah.
Kingsbury from a couple years ago, although he never called plays here. I think he was elevated to play caller once Meacham was named interim. Yeah. Arizona, 4.5-point favorites on the road at Colorado. Give me Arizona to cover this one, man.
For sure. The Buffs are in bad shape.
That kind of beatdown, I don't think it was like an emotional, like draining game where like it was close and you lost. Like I think it was just like you got beat so bad that you may get beat twice because of it. And then Cincinnati at Utah. This one, like, we'll be coming back from like a dinner out. I'll be turning this game back on when we get home, get the kids back in bed or get off our instant reaction. Man, Utah's a 9.5-point favorite. The Utah defense is legit, but give me Cincinnati to keep it closer than that, man. 10 points.
I would take Cincinnati plus 9.5. That's my feel right now.
Yeah, and then BYU and TCU are off this week. Okay, other games, big noon, Penn State at Ohio State. Ohio State's a 3-touchdown favorite at home, 11 a.m. Fox. Why choose this one? Don't know.
I don't know. There's so many other better 11 a.m. games, and we just talked about at least one of them. You know, UCF at Baylor is a better. It's going to be a better game to watch at 11 a.m. And there's two more that we'll talk about shortly.
Yeah. Game day headed to Utah because, of course, they needed the ego boost of what they're doing for this conference. I've seen far too many Utah fans saying they brought relevance to the Big 12 because they brought big noon and game day to Salt Lake. But
well, guess what? You get to be on campus for 13 hours before your game kicks off. So enjoy. The logistics of that are insane. So that game, we already said, it kicks off at 9:15. That's 8:15 local time. Game day starts at 7 a.m. local time. So if kids are showing up at, 5:30, 6 a.m., 7, whatever, they've got to hang around for another 13, 14 hours.
Do you go home?
What do you do?
Do you, like the 11 a.m., they shut everything down. Do you go home?
Go sleep in your car?
I don't know.
I mean, that's
man.
enough time for these kids if they were the type to imbibe. They could have beers, have too many, take a nap, be hungover, and then go to the game and do it all again. My gosh, what a weird game time for a game day.
For those in the deep South, this is like a boot and rally.
There you go.
That's wild. Yeah, have fun with that. Game day. It's an amazing experience. I'm sure. I watched Texas Tech host it back-to-back weeks. I wanted to be there for both of them, but was not in town. But hanging around for 13 hours, yikes!
That's just before the game starts.
Before the game starts. All right, Vandy, number 9, top 10 Vanderbilt. Michael, golly, what world are we living in? At number 20, Texas. Texas is a almost 2-point favorite. 11 a.m. kickoff at ABC.
See, that's an 11
Give me the doors,
game.
Man.
Yeah, give me the doors plus 1.5.
Because they're going to be without what's his face, Manning. He's in the protocol, as they say.
Oh, that might be better. That might be better for the Longhorns.
I guess that's true because
their
backup came back and looked decent.
Yeah.
In overtime. Navy at North Texas. North Texas is a 7-point favorite. 11 a.m. ESPN2. Navy 7-0. UNT fighting Eric Morris's 7-1. Does that cat have the eligibility? Can you go steal him from UNT after this season? Because he looks pretty dang good. He's a freshman.
He's looking
too,
all right.
What's his name? Montemayor?
If he's a freshman, he better have some eligibility.
I don't know what he's a freshman. 6'4", 215 from Austin. Former Red Raider Drew Mestamaker.
And find out.
Good gravy. I mean, playing a service academy is always kind of an iffy spot, especially when both teams are rolling, man. I would love to see Eric Morris here get this one and keep it going. I mean, they're a touchdown favorite too. So let me see it.
Yeah,
let me see the Mean Green.
Just all that to say, completely ignore the Ohio State game if you've got some time in front of the TV at 11 a.m. and catch UCF at Baylor, Vandy at Texas, or Navy at North Texas. Either of those three will be a much more exciting matchup.
Before we move on, we got a game time for the BYU game. Outside hope of getting game day, but when they went up to Salt Lake, you probably weren't getting back-to-back weeks of game day in the Big 12. 11 a.m. kick. You will be on ABC or ESPN. I guess it's technically still possible to get game day, but like they typically go for the game day where it's going to be a night kick. The 11 a.m. kick is not great. Positive for the matchup though, like you get a team traveling east to play in the morning, so you get them a little early. But
yeah,
I don't love this game being 11 a.m.
I don't like it for personal reasons because it conflicts with youth sports that day, and I bought these tickets in August, so that just kind of sucks. But we'll see. We'll see what I'm able to do selfishly to get to the game.
Let's work through some of these comments because we've been neglecting our fans here.
Ooh, okay.
Last Sunrise, I was a huge Styx guy. I was too, man. 2009 was a fun season because
Nebraska.
Yeah, he broke his foot. Dominican Sue was a jerk. But I also remember that Daniel Howard fumble recovery return for a touchdown. That was fun. And then the bowl game versus Michigan State where he came in to lead that drive. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the cleansing waters of Lubbock, just like coaches did under Saban in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're collecting head coaches and the weird advisory roles or special assistants.
Yes.
You did it in basketball. So
yeah, come and see and partake in the cleansing waters of the Ogallala Aquifer.
At least you guys have water. The coast of Bend down here is running out of water. We sit on the coast and we're running out of water.
Well, so are we, but you just can't see it, so we don't talk about it. We don't like to think about it.
Yeah. D. Wayne says, I have PTSD when Avery Johnson ran for 5 touchdowns on it. Yeah, that's still within his capabilities. It's still
yes, it is.
Thing to worry about. And then Brent Mandy Wilson, Alabama LSU is that night. Yeah, but like losing your head coach, like they're not gonna go. Like they're not gonna go to that game, right?
They probably they've already said it for 6:30. I think it's a 6:30 kick that night. So they might, because Death Valley, woo, that's something. When your coach just got fired and you're 5-4 or whatever, 5-3.
But like A&M kind of took the shine off of that Death Valley aura.
I would think so too, and I mean there was nothing. It was a valley of death. It was not Death Valley last week when the Ags were just absolutely destroying them in the third and fourth quarter.
Let's look up the games that have times that night. Wake Forest at Virginia, Cal at Louisville, Florida State at Clemson. No, it's LSU at Alabama. That's what it is. So yeah, it's possible they're going to Alabama. Navy at Notre
They've been to
Dame.
Tuscaloosa already,
Flor-
though. That hasn't stopped them, but they went there when Tuscaloosa Crimson Tide, when they hosted the Nashville Commodores.
Yeah. Just saying.
Yeah.
Florida at Kentucky, Nevada at Utah State, UNL. These are just late games. That's not kind of other meaningful matchups like A&M at Missouri. It's a 2:30 kick.
Oh, Missouri's still ranked, aren't they?
Yeah, they're 19, but they're also going to be without a quarterback.
Yeah, and who are they playing this week?
Are they off? No.
They might. I don't know. Let me see.
I'm
Let me pull
looking.
it up. Missouri. I mean, they just lost by a touchdown to the number 9 team in the country. They should get the benefit of the doubt, right? Vanderbilt, the number 9 team in the. That's the joke.
They are off this week.
All right. Okay. That's a legit one. Did they go there for when they hosted Kansas? I don't know. I feel like they might have gone to Missouri when Kansas came to town. I don't remember, but we will see. But yeah, I think whatever excuse ESPN can come up with to not come to Lubbock, they will do it.
They need to talk to what's his face? What's his name? The guy that was on the ESPN, one of the big wig radio guys, Ryan Russillo. Although I think that relationship is soured since then. He's always talked very highly about his experience coming to game day in Lubbock.
Yeah, all those guys do. Stanford Steve, he's part of that too, because I listened to the SV pod.
Yeah,
and it used to be SVP and Russillo. So yeah, I think Stanford Steve was with them on that same trip. They've talked up Lubbock. They like it.
Yeah,
good for them.
Looking in the Big Ten, there's a bunch of boo-boo matchups. Indiana at Penn State, Oregon at Iowa, Nebraska at UCLA, Washington at Wisconsin, Ohio State at Purdue, Maryland at Rutgers.
I mean, that didn't stop them from taking Penn State at Ohio State this week, or at least the big noon. Whatever.
Yeah.
You want to talk some soccer real quick?
One more comment first. L. Weiss TTU says, worst part of Baylor's team is their defense. I don't want him here. So he's talking about Aranda coming over. I think part of that is like he's also the head coach. So like he hasn't forgotten how to coach defense. I just think his role has limited him. And I'm not saying like you absolutely have to go get him because you don't have an opening on your staff for a defensive coordinator.
He currently has a job too.
That too. All right, let's talk some
still employed
round football.
Yes, so Texas Tech soccer went on a tear this week after they had their second loss handed to them up in Boulder. Went down Thursday 3-0 versus number 7 or 22 Colorado, depending on which rankings you look at. And it was kind of over early, Spencer. So Colorado scored their first goal 12 minutes into the game, and then what felt like back-to-back, just barely 2 minutes later, 14 minutes and 9 seconds, they scored the second goal. So, you know, you're 15 minutes into the game, down 2-0 on the road to a really good team, and it just never really turned around. Texas Tech was unable to really get anything going offensively, and Colorado's just a really solid team. So Tech gets their first loss since pre-conference. This is their first Big 12 loss of the year. Bounced back in a big way versus Kansas State on Sunday, although Kansas State did make it interesting. Krzyzewski had 2 goals in that game, and but Kansas State hit an equalizer about 55 minutes into the game, so it was 1-1 coming off the back half into the second half. But then Krzyzewski hit another goal, Blackburn hit a goal, and final score, Kansas State goes down 3-1 this Sunday at home on Senior Day. And that leaves Texas Tech after that week of going 1-1. They fell in the rankings. They still are getting some, a good amount of respect because of who they lost to, and because of who Colorado beat. They've jumped up quite a bit. So TCU sits at number 5 in the United Soccer Coaches rankings. There we go. Colorado's number 11. Texas Tech is 15. West Virginia is 19. Baylor is 23. Kansas is receiving votes in that poll. And then in the top draw soccer poll, which has always been a little bit more favorable of Texas Tech, Colorado is at 4. Texas Tech is at 6. TCU's at 7. Baylor 18. West Virginia 19. And Kansas jumped in there, previously unranked at 24. So as it stands right now, Texas Tech is tied for 3rd with Colorado in points. And of course, Colorado has the tiebreaker because they walloped them 3-0 this last week. But there is a path to first place, and I'll get to that. But first, before they can even think about that, they've got to take care of UCF. UCF comes to town this Thursday, 7 p.m. If you're around, if you can make it, come to the John Walker last regular season game of the year. Here, there's a shot that Tech may host some sort of postseason games in Lubbock, but you never want to take that for granted. So if you can come out on Thursday, come do it. UCF, though, it's not going to be an easy win by any means. They are 11-2 and 4 overall. They are 5-1 and 4 in Big 12 play. So struggling to get wins in the Big 12, but being very competitive. They are 5th place. Their goalkeeper, Genesis Perez Watson, she's only allowed 12 goals. And as much as we like Faith Nguyen, after this weekend, Nguyen's allowed 13. So really good company. I mean, to have a goalkeeper who's pretty much on par with Faith Nguyen, who's, already on some all-time lists at Texas Tech after just 2 seasons. They are led offensively by Liz Worden, who has 7 goals and 8 assists. Rajana Reed, who has 6 goals and 3 assists, and Hanoka Hamano, who has 4 goals and 5 assists. But they only have 26 goals and 28 assists as a team, whereas Texas Tech has, let's see, where did I have that? They have, I don't have a number for how many goals they have. My bad. But Texas Tech has 46 assists. UCF only has 28. So it's a lot of long shots, not as much teamwork at the goal line as what the Red Raiders are able to do. So that's your first step. To get to first place in the Big 12, got to take down UCF. If you do that, then you want West Virginia to either lose or tie versus Cincy. Then you want TCU to either lose. Well, you really want them to lose versus Houston. If they tie versus Houston, I think then you would have a head-to-head tie with TCU by points. And since your head-to-head game against TCU was in itself a tie, then I think Texas Tech and TCU would be tied for first. So I'm not for sure how they'd sort that out. But that would still count as first place. Colorado plays Kansas this weekend. You would need Colorado to also lose or tie. So if you happen to catch any Big 12 soccer this weekend, root for Cincy and Houston and Kansas. And always root for your Red Raiders. And then if that works out, then Texas Tech would end up with 26 points and the sole first place position to head into the Big 12 tourney, which starts Monday. I mean, it turns right around. So Monday, November 3rd, the first 2 rounds of the tournament are held on Monday and Wednesday next week in Fort Worth at TCU. And then the championship match would be Saturday, November 8th at Baylor. And that is the soccer update.
All right. Taking a step back to the game day discussion, Michael, did you see that? you haven't seen it because you would have mentioned it when we talked about it. There was a quote from one Reese Davis. This is posted, of course, Facebook of all places. So just be aware. This was sent to me. But I want to point it out. Quote from Reese Davis: "I don't want to give away secrets, but I might be stocking up on tortillas in the next couple of weeks."
I eyeball emoji.
Side eye.
Well, and in
Righty.
that case, that's so much better for our fans.
Throw
And
the
then,
tortillas, get it all out on the game day set.
well, not just that, but you show up, you get rowdy at 6 or 7 or 8 in the morning, and then you immediately go watch a football game.
Yeah, you'd have to
You don't go sit around for a nurse's shift. You don't go sit around for like a shift at the hospital before kickoff. You just immediately walk into the Jones and get to watch some football. So I think that would help the environment.
Smarter people than me would have to figure this out and devote more time than I can do on the fly here as we're trying to stream a podcast. Logistically, you want students that were at the game day set in the stadium. So they leave early from game day and then have to have seats that have been saved for them because like those lines stack up. And we mentioned, what was it, the Kansas game? They stopped letting guys in, students in, hour and a half before kickoff. The student section was full. Got to figure that one out. And maybe it's an old school Raiderville check-in type thing. You got a whole line for space for guys that were at the. I know it doesn't make sense to try to go from, game day that ends at 11 to then get into the stadium at a kickoff at 11. Let's talk basketball real quick, Michael, because it's coming up, man. But next time we're recording, we're going to be a day out. Game will be the next day. Well, the women will be playing that night.
Mm-hmm.
We're recording on Monday. Men play on Tuesday. So early season schedule. Texas Tech hosting men's team is hosting Lindenwood Tuesday night, the 4th. Quick rankings check-in. We know where they were in the AP, coming in at number 10. Ken Palm has Texas Tech off at 12. Haslametrics, not a believer yet, has them at 24. Ken Palm has Texas Tech as the number 12 offense, number 18 defense. So number 12 overall team. Lindenwood is 328. Haslametrics has this as a 85-59 projected win versus Lindenwood. Then you do play on Friday. So you play Tuesday, Friday. Sam Houston State, quite a bit better of an opponent in Sam Houston State. They're 186 in Ken Palm, but still a pretty wide margin of victory projected here for Texas Tech, nearly 20 points, 82-64. And then the following Tuesday, you're on the road at number 17, Illinois, who's number 6 in Ken Palm. Currently, that's a projected loss for Tech, 5 points. However, if you were home, this would be a 2-point victory in the projection for Texas Tech. So road matchup here, playing pretty big swing there in this Illinois game. And then the following Friday, you're back home versus Milwaukee, number 212 in Ken Palm. So you're not playing a bunch of 300s like you did to start off last season. Better, especially with a matchup with Illinois in game number 3. But man, basketball's it's here. Or it's next week, man. We're gonna be recording early next week because of scheduling change, shaking up. Michael's got some plans, so we'll preview BYU, but also a couple of basketball games next Monday because season's upon us, man. You got anything for basketball?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not the guy breaking down film from the new transfers and the new guys that are on the squad. For that, I would recommend following Ryan Mainville on the Twitter, one of the gauchos, and he's been on top of it all off season as always. But I am always I probably shouldn't admit it, but I kind of come in cold turkey on some of these guys. Pretty much I just start Game 1. All right, who do we have? Let's see how this looks. Let's see how this goes. I don't really have a lot of expectations on the individual players aside from Top and Anderson. But
Lawan Watts.
yeah, I've seen enough of Watts's highlights and stats come across my feed, but the rest of the players, I need to just kind of see it with my own eyes and do like I've done the last 4 or 5 years, print off the roster like a boomer and start watching the basketball. All right, now who's that? Okay, that is, and then I'll be fine until halfway through the season, the guys start cutting their hair or doing something different, and then I forget the number. Like then my brain just explodes. Like, oh, I don't know who that is. Apparently, I associate hairstyles way better than numbers, and I don't know what that says about me as an engineer and a bald man. But it does say something.
Well, from the
field day with that,
from the broadcast angle, like you can rarely see a number.
True,
because you're looking at their side. You can see the top of their head pretty well.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're far off, man.
All right. Okay. Thanks. He's got my back. Got my back, folks. Thank you.
I got your back. All right. Let's talk about what do we learn? What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. So I know you're all on top of the conspiracy theories. You've been tracking 3i Atlas like a hawk, man. I know you have, right? Right? You know everything about this thing?
Yeah.
No, I know nothing. Except that everybody has a theory about what it is or what it could be. And it's none of those things. It's going to be the most mundane of the possibilities. That's Occam's razor, right? Like the simplest, most like easiest, whatever is what it is. Everybody's freaking out like the aliens are coming and blah blah blah. Y'all, it's a space rock. Okay, it's not turning on. It's not off gassing. It's not aliens. It's rock. Chill out. And if it was an alien or aliens, what are you going to do about it? Nothing.
That's how I've always thought about a lot of things.
If they're coming, they're coming. If they're going to stop, it's another thing.
Just be kind of, well, it'd be nice to know before whatever happens.
Knowing that they're going to obliterate us does not change the outcome, whether they do it or not. Other thing, it cracks me up. So like, as a communicator, I use AI a lot in my job. I don't think it's a knock on people that do, whatever aspect you use it. For me, working in the realm of the written word, it is a fantastic thought starter. It's a place to get the blank page overcome, right? Like the whatever. Never would I ever copy and paste out of whatever generative AI tool you're using, put it in, and then hit send. There are so many people that are turning around copy paste out of an AI generator, and it is so blatantly obvious. It's like, it's not even like dialing in on how often these generative models are using M dashes, and you can typically pick out, oh, that's AI because it's got the M dash. A little more keener eye, those that have a lot of the emojis at the beginning of a line, it's a pretty dead giveaway. The worst is when somebody copies and pastes and get the sure, here you go, like the very top, like the very first response.
Ooh, ouch.
I got an email like that today from the current president of the Little League Association back in Lubbock. She copied and pasted this. It was about an invitation to the open board meeting for the league, right? So all parents and coaches, whatever. But it had the sure, here you go response to the prompt at the very top of the email. I was like, oh my gosh. It's one thing to have AI draft this and format it and spit it out to you 10 times faster than you could do it. You didn't even proofread it closely enough to realize that like you included something you didn't. Blows my mind. And it's not like an age thing. It's not like it's just old people that do it. It's just lazy people, man. Not paying attention. AI can be great. I don't look down at you for using it. I use it. But you got to know like the overuse of the M dash, the emojis at the front of a line, and then especially the response from the generator, man. You got to cut all that crap out to be taken seriously. That's what I learned.
I learned that I'm about done with soccer season, with youth soccer, with my under 10 team, because let me get into this. So the soccer season is over. We've played all of our regular season games. We have the Queen Bees are the undisputed first place team in our bracket. We are 6-0-1. We have 19 points. But because second and third and fourth are so close and all have the same amount of points, we are having to play a tiebreaker game. So we will play second place, which is the team we just beat 8-0 to end the season. The other two teams will play each other, and then we will determine who actually will be first, second, third, and fourth. So we are undisputed first place, but the only reason we're playing is to settle who will be second, third, or fourth. Who gives a shit?
But that doesn't answer
who's going to be
anything.
second, third, or fourth.
Like, okay, so say you beat number 2. That doesn't mean number 2 is worse than number 3.
Correct.
It's like why is it not 1-4, 2-3? Like, why is it not
there? That too. 1 plays 2, 3 plays 4. That too. This happened last year too, but it wasn't as annoying because here's why it's annoying. It happened last week. Game was scheduled for 1:30. We had tickets to the 3:00 game and at the Jones. Our game got delayed because of the same lightning that delayed the Jones, the start of the Jones. So we get there at 1, a little after 1, sit in our cars till almost 2:30 before they finally cancel the game. So we're just there twiddling our thumbs for an hour and a half, watching all this lightning around us going like, well, obviously they're going to have to cancel. And then they finally do. And then we scramble and get to the game just in time to see kickoff. And that's only because the game itself got delayed.
Yeah.
At versus Oklahoma State. So flash forward to, well, we got to make up this game. So we're playing it this Saturday. And when I first checked it, it was at noon. I thought, okay, great. My kid's she's got a soccer game at 9. A basketball game at 9. 12's plenty of time to kind of recoup in between and get out to Burl Huffman and then get home in time for Kansas State. Guess what? Moved to 1:30. And so now our undefeated team is playing a second place team that they beat 8-0 last week. And it just keeps getting closer and closer to interfering with another Texas Tech game. And brother, 10 weeks into this, you're starting to lose it. You're starting to lose your brain a little bit. Like I put it in the Discord this week, it's listening to, taking your little radio out there and listening to the Tech game in September is kind of cheeky and fun. But when you're playing, when you've got like a top 15 team that's on the verge of doing something that's never been done, and you're getting scheduled around this soccer game that doesn't matter, does not matter to us at all. And then anyway, so yeah, I'm done with soccer season, but it will not let me die. It will not let me go in peace.
That's just
playing second place. Why? I don't know why.
I mean,
they're 4-3-1. We're 6-0-1. Nothing is going to change.
I mean, what is like you would do that for seeding purposes for like a post-season tournament? Do y'all have that?
Well, what happens is you put in your intent and all that stuff. And so, spoiler alert, if there's any Queen Bee's parents out there listening, we will go on to the Tournament of Champions, and that is what is hosted in Frisco. So we will be the sole representative from the LSA for the U10 girls. And we did that last year too. And that's fine. I mean, those games actually mean a whole bunch. So I'm on board with that. We can make that work, even though something else is going on in Arlington that same weekend on that Saturday. It may or may not be pertinent to us, but
careful now.
It's sure going to be weird to be just like an hour north of that thing and not being able to go. But anyway, so that's just another bridge to cross. But yeah, it does not matter. It absolutely, this game, I don't get it. And I don't know why it had to be rescheduled, and then why they rescheduled it to a different time after they rescheduled it.
Yeah.
That's it. What I learned is that I know nothing.
Well, that'll do it for us here on the 23 Personnel Podcast. We did it. I uploaded the right one. We are on the road versus Kansas State this weekend. Michael's got a little bit more of a bullish outlook here, but I think Texas Tech wins this one. I think it'd be close. Michael's got 2 scores. Keep the tortillas here in Lubbock. Go up to Manhattan. We probably need to re-record this outro, but for Michael, I'm Spencer. Catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.